So what is being done? So the science is rapidly being worked on here with something in the order of 400 publications on these compounds per year. It's like every month, every week, every day there's something new, either in the research world or in the regulatory and policy world. The National Toxicology Program and EPA have major research initiatives underway, some of which are being done here in Massachusetts. Harvard School of Public Health has a research consortium that's working on this. University of Rhode Island, Brown University, Northeastern, BU, so a lot of academic institutions here in Massachusetts and in the Northeast studying these compounds. To its credit, EPA worked with the manufacturers to voluntarily phase out the worst ones, which are these PFAS and PFOA. These are the longer chain ones that were very extensively used 15 or 20 years ago, much less extensively used now. But we do have legacy contamination in groundwater and at hazardous waste sites that we need to deal with that relates to uses before they were phased out. And they're phased out in the U.S. and in most of the developed world, but we're not so sure about China and the developing world where they may still be used. As a result, when you look at the concentrations in people who do serum studies, the levels of these, the worst acting ones, have actually come down a lot over the last 10 years or so, which is a good news story, but we don't necessarily know what's happening with some of the replacements that we think are less toxic, but maybe increasing in use. So the EPA Drinking Water Advisory, they set an advisory a couple of years ago for PFAS and PFOA at 70 parts per trillion for the combination of those two compounds in drinking water. Some states have lower levels, including New Jersey and Vermont. ATSDR, which is another federal agency, just came out with a report looking at some new data that raises some questions about whether 70 is actually an adequately protective number. We're looking at that now. There aren't any EPA standards or advisories for any else, any of the other ones, so we only have 2,998 to go. It's a daunting thought if you really think about it. But there are some other programs, the research world, trying to look at ways of grouping these things together and looking at the toxicity in categories rather than compound by compound. And there was some national testing that was done focusing on 6 of the worst acting PFAS compounds. So what's been going on here in Massachusetts, based on that national water testing that was done, ORS looked at those 6 compounds, and we developed an ORSG, a drinking water guideline, which was adopted June 12th of this year. And we're using that 70 parts per trillion value, which is the same as what EPA derived, but we're applying it to 3 other compounds in that group of 6 that was tested for nationally. We're not doing one of them because it's a short chain and it has a very different profile on the toxicology, and it's cleared from the body much more quickly than the longer chain ones. So this is all based on structural similarity. We've also now started working with some other states in the Northeast region to review that ATSDR report, the new toxicology data that's come out, and also some additional studies that have come out that we think need to be looked at. And we're working with the drinking water program and the wayside cleanup program to implement this guideline here in Massachusetts. So just to give you a quick look at the structures here. So these are the compounds that were tested in that ECMR3 test process that was done nationally. You don't need to be a chemist to note that these are the compound structures, and they all look pretty much the same. So you would kind of expect that they might act pretty much the same. And the evidence on the toxicity and half-life surely indicate that above a certain chain length, a certain number of carbons, in fact, they do. They have very long half-lives. They have relatively similar toxicities in terms of the endpoints, in terms of the potencies, and that's why we're treating the 5 longer chain ones. This one here, which has 4 carbons, again, it has a much shorter half-life, less than, probably a month or a few weeks as opposed to years. And the toxicity is correspondingly reduced. Not to say it's 0, but it's much less. So that's the background in terms of why we're worried about these compounds, where they come from. And now Doug's going to give us a little presentation on what we're doing in the drinking water program.